There is a certain level of discipline that makes people look at you with a sense of awe. Today, you will learn exactly how to reach that point. Have you ever observed someone who seems to never fail? The individual who rises at the exact same time every single day, follows their routine relentlessly, and simply does not stop? While others quit after a few weeks, this person forges ahead. While people make excuses, they show up without fail. And you know what others often say about them. That's not normal. There is an ancient system developed by Zen monks in Japan that cultivates this very kind of formidable consistency. They call it Guji, the practice that perpetuates itself. Once you grasp how it functions, you will never abandon a goal again. However, there is a caveat. This system is not designed for everyone. It demands that you eliminate a part of yourself you never knew was there. Chapter 1. The Awakening. The story you're about to hear is about a programmer named Raphael. He was intelligent and had a successful career, but he faced one persistent problem. He could not maintain any habit for longer than 2 weeks. He would go to the gym for 2 months and then stop. His meditation practice lasted just 1 week. He would buy a book, read 3 pages, and then leave it forgotten in a drawer. The cycle was always identical: total motivation on Monday, the first mental negotiations by Wednesday, complete surrender by Friday, and new promises for the next week on Sunday. Raphael tried every possible solution: habit tracking apps, reward systems, accountability partners. Nothing worked because he was battling something he couldn't even comprehend: the fundamental architecture of his own brain. This continued until he discovered the reason Zen monks can meditate for what seems like 800 years without missing a single day. And no, it is not willpower. It is something far deeper and more profound. Chapter 2. The Secret of the Monks in Zen Temples. There exists a deceptively simple rule that changes everything. Jyoji. Literally translated, it means continuous practice without gaps. Do you understand the significance of that? It means that since 1200 AD, a bell has rung every single day at 3:30 a.m. at the Ai Temple. And since 1200 AD, every single day, the monks have woken up, not at 3:25, not at 3:35, but precisely at 3:30 a.m. You know what never happens in that temple? You will never find a monk lying in bed thinking, "Should I get up today?" That question simply does not exist in their minds. Why? Because they understand a crucial principle that you likely do not. Your brain categorizes every commitment into 2 boxes: reversible or irreversible. Reversible commitments become mental negotiations. Irreversible commitments simply happen. When a monk takes his vows before the entire community, he is not merely making a promise. He's fundamentally changing his identity. He is not saying he will try to meditate. He is declaring himself a meditator. The community bears witness. His identity transforms, and the internal negotiation ends. A Harvard University neuroscientist, after 15 years of studying habits, made a revolutionary discovery. When you make a behavior public, your primitive brain interprets failure as a threat to your survival. Our ancestors who lost status within their tribe often died. Your brain still operates in the same way. This is exactly what Raphael did. He stopped making private promises and began making public declarations. He wrote on a piece of paper, "I am a person who meditates for 20 minutes every day at 5 a.m. for 90 consecutive days." He signed it, posted it on social media, and told everyone. His girlfriend told him he was being dramatic. His co-worker said he was trying too hard. This was perfect. Every person he knew became fuel for his commitment. Every morning, he felt like giving up. He thought about having to face everyone and admit he was just another person who couldn't keep his word. On the 3rd day, the first real test came. His alarm rang at 5 a.m., and his mind immediately began its familiar routine. You're exhausted. This isn't healthy. One day won't matter, but something fundamental had shifted. The thought of posting online that he had failed after just 3 days was unbearable. The idea of admitting defeat to his girlfriend was worse. The public declaration had made quitting more painful than persevering. However, this is where the real problem began. Chapter 3. The internal war. Even with all the social pressure, Raphael was still fighting a battle every single day. His body, craving sleep, did not care about his reputation. The public declaration had ended the mental negotiation, but he was still fighting his own biology every morning. It was then that he discovered the monk's second principle, non-negotiable hours. Every day, you waste mental energy on the same futile question. When will I do this? Now or after breakfast? Morning or night? This decision burns glucose in your brain that should be used for the practice itself. You are wasting fuel deciding when to drive instead of actually driving. Raphael chose 5 a.m., not because he loved sunrises, but because the world was asleep. No messages, no emails, no distractions, and no excuses. The time wasn't about optimization. It was about elimination, eliminating every possible reason to postpone. The first week was brutal. His body resisted every morning, which is normal. Your body is a machine that operates on patterns, and you are forcing it to build a new one. It will resist. In the second week, something changed. He began waking up 2 minutes before his alarm. His body had started preparing for what was to come. By the 14th day, the alarm rang, and his feet were on the floor before his conscious mind even engaged. No thought, no decision, just movement. This is what most people misunderstand about fixed hours. It's not about finding the perfect schedule. It's about removing time as a variable. When you do something at different times each day, you force your brain to make a new decision every time. When the schedule is fixed, your brain cannot argue with a constant. But Raphael soon discovered a new problem. His schedule was fixed, but he kept changing what he did during that time. Some mornings he meditated, others he read, sometimes he did push-ups. His brain had found a new loophole. Instead of arguing about when, it started arguing about what. The 20 minutes at 5 a.m. were reliable, but the practice itself was chaotic. He had eliminated the when, but not the what. This is where the teaching on forms becomes critical, as it requires you to do exactly the same thing every single day until your mind completely surrenders. Chapter 4. The one way you might think variety keeps things interesting, but variety is where consistency dies. Every time you change what you're doing, your brain has to make micro decisions. Should I do push-ups or burpees? Which book should I read? How long should I meditate? Each small decision is a crack where your old patterns can leak back in. Raphael locked everything down. 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading. Same order, same timer, same routine, a personal 90-day period of identical practice. His friends called him robotic. His girlfriend said he was becoming annoying. They didn't understand that annoying was precisely the point. In the third week, his mind rebelled, screaming for variety. This is stupid. You're not a robot. Mix it up or you'll burn out. By the fourth week, something broke. Not his discipline, but his resistance. The voice of negotiation grew quieter. By week 6, he was halfway through his push-ups before he even realized he had started. The practice was beginning to sustain itself. This is what people fail to understand about consistency. It is not about willpower lasting forever. It is about repeating an action until willpower is no longer necessary. Your body learns the sequence like a dancer learns choreography. An MIT researcher who studied the automatization of behaviors for 12 years explains that when you repeat an action in the same context for approximately 66 days, the basal ganglia in the brain take over. The behavior becomes automatic. You are no longer deciding to do it. You are simply doing it. On the 35th day, Raphael caught the flu. On the 40th, he was traveling for work. This is where the old pattern typically kicks in. A sick day becomes a rest day. Travel becomes an exception. This is where you have given up before, where everyone gives up. Because we believe perfect practice requires perfect conditions, and perfect conditions do not exist. But the monk Dogen understood something crucial about gaps. Practice must continue without even a moment's interruption, because in that gap, all your old patterns return. What saved Raphael when everything went wrong was understanding that practice doesn't require perfection. It requires continuity. Chapter 5. Practice without gap. The all-or-nothing lie has destroyed more consistency than laziness ever could. You tell yourself, if I can't do the full 20 minutes, why do anything? If I can't do perfect push-ups, I'll wait until tomorrow. This thinking creates gaps, and gaps are where your old self crawls back in. Observe any elite athlete, and you will notice something often misinterpreted. They have rest days, but those rest days are still a form of progress. They are intentional, strategic, and planned, never because they simply feel lazy. A rest day allows them to train harder tomorrow. It is still movement toward the goal, but when you skip because you are tired, that is not rest. It is retreat. A river never stops flowing. During a drought, it may be reduced to a trickle, but it never stops. The moment it stops, it is no longer a river. It is a memory of where water used to be. Your practice is the same. The moment you create a gap, you are no longer practicing. You are someone who used to practice. A travel day arrived on day 40. Raphael was at the airport at 4 a.m. with meetings all day and no gym at his hotel. He did push-ups in the airport bathroom. People looked at him as if he were insane, which was perfect. He meditated in the Uber and read on the plane. Nothing was perfect, but everything maintained the momentum toward the goal he had declared 90 days prior. This is Guyoji, the practice continuing itself. It was then that people began to notice. Co-workers said he seemed different. Friends commented that he was becoming obsessive. Someone actually told him his discipline wasn't healthy, that normal people don't act like that. When you hear these words, you know you are on the right path. Normal people get normal results. You are not trying to be normal. You are trying to be unbreakable. But here is what no one prepares you for: the unexpected obstacles you never see coming. Chapter 6. Pre-solutions. Your child gets sick. Your car breaks down on the way to the gym. Your boss requires you to work late. These are the killers of consistency because you have not pre-decided how to handle them. Every time an unexpected obstacle appears, you must make a decision under stress. And in that moment of chaos, you will likely choose the path of least resistance. The obstacle wins because you are fighting a battle you did not prepare for. Zen monasteries have operated for centuries without missing a single day of practice. Through earthquakes, wars, and famines, the practice continues. How? They do not make decisions when obstacles arise. The answers already exist. If the meditation hall floods, they go to the dining hall. If the dining hall catches fire, they sit in the courtyard. There is no meeting, no discussion, no negotiation. The bell rings, and the response is automatic. Raphael wrote down every obstacle that had ever broken his consistency and pre-solved each one. Plan for rain, push-ups in the garage, guests staying over, silent workout in the bathroom, a hangover. 2 push-ups, 1 minute of meditation, 1 page of reading. Every scenario had a predetermined response. When X happens, I do Y. No thinking, no negotiating, just execution. The power of this is not just in maintaining the sequence, it's in stopping the waste of mental energy on decisions. Your brain knows that no matter what happens tomorrow, the practice continues. This certainty changes your entire nervous system. A Yale University behavioral psychologist found that when you pre-decide your actions, you remove decision fatigue from the critical moment. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for willpower, remains intact to execute rather than debate. By day 70, Raphael's practice had become completely automatic. He would sometimes wake up not even remembering doing his push-ups. His body simply moved through the sequence like a programmed machine. When his girlfriend's mother visited for a week, he did his push-ups in the bathroom at 5 a.m. The practice continued because the answers were already written. On the 90th day, he completed his personal period of intense practice. But something deeper had occurred. He was no longer the same person. Chapter 7. The transformation friends told him, "Your consistency is scary." His response was perfect. "Great. When your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you are finally operating at the right level. Your very existence proves that everything they claim is impossible is merely uncomfortable. That is why they will call you obsessive. That is why they will say you need balance. They need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. But you are not doing it for them. You are doing it because you have discovered the secret. Consistency is not about doing something every day. It is about becoming someone who cannot do it any other way. When you implement the Guji system, public declaration, fixed schedule, identical practice, and pre-solved answers, you are not just creating habits, you are reshaping your identity. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who simply is. And when that transformation is complete, people will look at you and wonder, how does he do that? The answer will be simple. He doesn't. He is. The question remains, are you ready for this level of transformation? Because it is not about discipline. It is about death and rebirth. The death of your inconsistent self and the birth of your unbreakable self. The Goji system will not make you a better person. It will make you a different person. Someone others will look at and think, that's not normal. And when you hear those words, you will know you have finally arrived. If this perspective on discipline and consistency has impacted you, we welcome you to join our community for more transformative content. Let us know in the comments, what will your public declaration be? What habit will you implement using this system? Remember, the consistency that unsettles others is the only consistency worth having. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you in the next discussion.